Hey, so you're thinking about moving to Roseville? Well, you're in the right place.
Yeah, welcome to our YouTube channel, Living in Sacramento, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe.
And hit the alert button so you're the first to know about everything about living in Sacramento and all the great surrounding areas like Roseville.
And then if you have any questions, like so many other people that text us, DM us, email us, just reach out to us.
Yep, all our info is below, and whether you're looking to move in a week, a month, or even a year, we are here for you, and we love getting your calls. The whole team does, really.
Okay, so with that, let's jump into Roseville.
Yes. And
pros
today,
and cons.
I was just going to say that. Today we're talking all about the pros and cons of living in Sacramento. So we're going to give you the good and the bad so you know what you're getting into.
There you go. And we want to focus on Roseville, not Sacramento, right?
Yeah, today we're talking about Roseville.
Okay, there you go. So, fun fact, actually, if you didn't know that, and I'm reading this here off Wikipedia, so if you want to fact check me, you can. Roseville was actually started out as a stagecoach station. That's a difficult one to say.
Right.
Back in the 1800s, and it was called Grinders. And then from there, the Central Pacific Railroad started, laying the tracks and constructed the railroad. And where the Central Pacific Railroad meets the California Central Railroad, so if you're a railroad fan, you'll appreciate that. If not, you can probably just fast forward to the next step. Anyways, where those two meet, that was named Junction. So that was the initial name of Roseville. And then in 1909, Junction became Roseville.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that before today.
There you go.
Never stop learning. So one of the things, actually, just speaking of the railroads, it's actually still a huge, huge employer here in Roseville. That wasn't something I was going to, talk about with our pros and cons, but I'd say that's a big pro. There's a lot of really great companies, including the railroads, here in Roseville, and a lot of residents work for the railroads, even still today.
Yeah, but then we are also talking about negatives, right? And because of the railroad, it has a very industrial feeling. And from the geography, if you're looking at it, it's like smack in the middle between Old Roseville and New Roseville. But then right next to it, there's something really positive, and I have it on our list here, very on the bottom. It's Denio's Market.
Yeah,
right?
Denio's.
A lot of people don't know about that.
Denio's Market has been around for decades. I can still hear the jingle in my head from growing up nearby Roseville. Take a peek at Denio's Farmers Market and auction.
Hey,
I can't get it out of my head.
There you go. So if real estate doesn't work out, you can't have a singing career.
I don't think so.
Oh, I see.
Let's go to the real list, though.
Okay.
Okay. The number one pro, I would say that most of our friends and family and clients that are moving into the area are looking for and looking at Roseville for is the schools. We have really great schools here in Roseville, right?
And all the surrounding areas, but particularly Roseville is one of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so actually Roseville Unified School District, there's actually two. There's an elementary school district, and then there's a high school district.
So they break it up in between K through 8 and then 9 through 12.
Exactly. And high school actually has just over 10,000 students. I'm looking this up right now. And the student-to-teacher ratio is 20, actually the other way around. Student-to-teacher ratio is 22-1. So pretty low, I think.
Yeah, a lot
compared
of our
to some other areas.
School districts we've talked about have been more like 23 or 24-1. So that's definitely favorable.
Yeah.
We have quite a few friends and clients that work in the Roseville Elementary School District. And that's one of the things that they always really enjoy too, is that they really do get to have, pretty close, not one-on-one, but, nice interaction with their students, and they really get to know the students and the families. So I hear that from them all the time.
Right, and if you're a teacher thinking about relocating to the school district or to this area, I actually found it, and I didn't put it on our list, but I found it interesting. So if you pull up the elementary school district, the average teacher salary, do you want to take a guess?
I think I've seen the number.
Okay, so it's $93,000, the average, right? Now, in the high school district, it's actually $88,000.
Oh my gosh, so you get paid less to deal with those crazy teenagers.
Well,
that's not fair.
Or more to be dealing with the little kids, right?
Well, that's true. They do take more patience, maybe. I'm not sure.
But I thought that was a fun fact. I thought that would probably be the same, but it's not.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So we already talked about one con with the city being a little bit industrial. I would say another con for Roseville is definitely how spread out it is. getting across town there's, like we talked about before in our walking tours of Roseville and in the map tour of Roseville, there's 3 different zip codes within the city. And just getting across town can be like an hour affair depending on the traffic. And the reason is it's 42 square miles, people. That's a ton.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's getting bigger by the moment, right? The expansion on the west side.
Yes.
Which I think I talked about a little bit in one of the videos as well. The expansion is going towards the international airport for Sacramento.
Yeah.
So the back way.
I feel like it's going to go all the way to 99 someday. Like Roseville just is going to keep going west until they hit 99. There's actually a couple other cities in between there, so they can't do that. But if they could, I think they would.
Yeah, well, we never know.
And then also just because of the growth in the area, I would say the traffic into downtown is also pretty severe during the peak times.
Yeah, and there seems to be always some kind of construction going on I-80.
Yeah.
So that obviously doesn't help, right?
Right.
Well.
Yeah. So it's about 30 minutes without traffic, depending on which part of Roseville you're coming from, to get into downtown Sacramento. And then, if there's traffic, again, it could be, an hour, not really plus. We don't get crazy traffic in the Sacramento region, like the Bay Area or San Francisco, or that is the Bay Area, but or Los Angeles. However, it does get pretty packed, just not that crazy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's really no, and that's not on the list either, but I just thought about it. There's no really good public transportation, frankly.
Yeah, we have light rail, and it's okay.
Yeah, but does it go all the way out to Roseville?
It does not.
See?
It stops partway.
Yeah.
So maybe one day. Well, fingers crossed that it makes it out there.
If they pay to play.
Oh my gosh. Let's not get into politics or government.
Well, we'll see. But hey, let's talk about the pro. One of your favorite ones, shopping.
I do love to shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so much shopping in Roseville. One of my favorite places, though, would definitely have to be the Westfield Galleria. And then just across the way, of course, is the Fountains. And the Galleria I love because there's a little bit of everything. So you've got your everyday shops like Macy's, JCPenney's, you've got a Disney store in there. There's Gap.
A Pottery Barn.
There's a Pottery Barn.
Right.
And you also have the luxury brands like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Hugo Boss and Restoration Hardware. And I could go on and on. I can't remember the other ones right now. But anyway, lots and lots of luxury brands too. And there's great food and there's, activities for the kids. Did you know that they just built a bowling alley?
I did not.
Yeah. When I was doing my research for this, we haven't been there yet, but I'm going to make them go. So there's a really nice new bowling alley in what used to be the Sears building. So, we're losing some brick and mortar retail, but we're getting some brick and mortar entertainment for families.
Right. And then I believe there's a Dave & Buster's not that far away either.
It's in the Fountains.
Yeah,
yep.
There you go, right across the street.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the Apple Store. We need to talk about the fact that there's an Apple Store.
Yes, but make your appointment because those geniuses, they won't have time for you otherwise. So it is always packed in there, and you've got to make an appointment.
And we didn't talk about Cheesecake Factory, one of my favorite ones.
Well, we didn't talk about the restaurants really yet.
No.
So there's Ruth's Chris, there's Cheesecake Factory. So for
There's
chain
Fernando.
stores, I was just going to say for chain restaurants, you've got those. And then you've also got some great local favorites like El Fornillo is more of a local favorite. And also Land Ocean is in the mall now. So lots of good food options there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it has everything you can think of.
Yes.
And yeah, it's,
and Nordstrom.
Oh, gee, how could you?
How could I forget Nordy's? And then, like we said, right across the way is the Fountains, and there's a DSW in there. There's the Dave & Buster's, like Mike said. There's McCooney's. Oh my goodness, like we could go on and on.
There's a Whole Foods or Whole Paycheck, right? Whatever you want to call it.
Yes, Whole Paycheck Foods is right there in the Fountains as well. And then because it's an outdoor pedestrian center, similar to what we showed you guys in Folsom with the Palladio, they do a lot of outdoor activities like they do at Palladio too. So there's concerts. There's the cutest little train. You never took the boys shopping. When our boys were little, they were building the fountains right as they were, like 3 and 5 or 3 and 6.
Got away.
He missed it. But they have the cutest little train that runs through the shopping center. So you can pop in there with the kids and have them be a little bit entertained and get them a frozen yogurt or something. And it's great family fun for sure.
There you go. Well, time for some negative again.
Oh.
It's the cost of living.
Well, yeah.
Right. I mean,
when you have a lot of amenities.
Yeah, that's true.
I always say you get what you pay for
Right.
most of the time.
That's right.
And it is a little bit more expensive than the cost of living in Sacramento, which again is only about 30 minutes away. So the further you get out into the suburbs, depending on the suburb, oftentimes we're seeing those prices increase. So.
It's slightly less expensive though than Folsom, I would say. Right?
Yes.
The medium home price, and I just pulled it up, and obviously that changes all the time.
Right.
But right now, prices have softened a little bit, and we see that in the median home price, it came down to $620.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a reprieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
While the household income is just about $95,000 for the year. So,
okay.
I mean,
sounds like a teacher salary.
There you go.
Almost. At least in Roseville. So yeah, you're definitely going to spend a little bit more for your home. But most of the people that are living in Roseville, like Mike just indicated, they're making a little bit more too. So it usually does kind of balance out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have a little bit higher taxes in a lot of the areas though too. So you're not just paying a little bit more for the house, but most of Roseville, I shouldn't say most, a lot of Roseville is new. And so you are going to have higher property taxes in those areas because they have to build up all the infrastructure of schools and parks and lights and streets and all the things.
And they call it the dirty M word, right?
Yes, Melrose. So you'll hear Melrose a lot. I have clients calling me that are moving in here from out of the area, and they've definitely been on Google and have been watching videos and doing things. And they're like, we don't want any of that Melrose. And I'm like, it's kind of hard to avoid unless you buy an older home. So if the house is 25, 30 years old, you probably are going to avoid it.
Yeah, because I mean, what it is, if you want to know, it's a bond, right, that the developer gets to put all the infrastructure in, and then typically they are paid off between 20 and 30 years. Some are in perpetuity, so we want to obviously stay away from that if we can. But sometimes it's worth paying that in perpetuity if you like where you live, right?
Yes.
So there's areas in other suburbs, but we have that.
Right. We talked about that, I think, a little bit in our El Dorado video tour when I walked around the El Dorado Hills, because there is a community, Serrano, that is in perpetuity. We lived there for a long time, and we were happy to pay it because we loved the neighborhood.
Exactly. And it was for a good thing. It was for the schools. So, right?
Yes. So, and we had kids in school, so it kind of made sense in our, realtor brains. So.
And then I think another pro is Roseville Electric versus PG&E, huh?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's a big factor, I would say, for a lot of our clients that are trying to decide between, and we'll probably do an episode like this, like Rockland versus Roseville, like what are, like who's going to win? And certainly when our clients are looking in those couple areas, and including Lincoln too, those are the three big cities when we've got folks that are looking to be along Highway 80, and they want to, be in Placer County. Those are the big three. Mm-hmm. And it's a constant debate.
Yeah.
And Roseville Electric is, one of those things that's kind of a big game changer for people when they find out. So tell us about it.
Well, it's just a lot cheaper than PG&E, right? I mean, I don't think there's much more to tell about.
Well, it's similar to SMUD in that it's a public utility district versus a private utility district like PG&E is. So PG&E, privately owned. Roseville Electric, publicly owned. So it's a not-for-profit, and so they don't charge the customers as much.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I guess I'll answer my own question.
Well, if I knew where you were going, I would have probably answered it, but I did not.
Maybe we should rehearse these sometimes. It's not going to happen.
Anyways, so some rural feeling. I think there's some areas which I like about Roseville too, which for some people it's a pro, for some it's a con. That you can live in the city of Roseville and you can it feels like you're living in the country because it's some total rural area,
right?
Especially down around Eureka Road, right? If you go out that way,
baseline.
Yeah, exactly. And Morgan Creek, which that takes me to another pro. I mean, it's not all about negative, right? It's mostly positive.
We had a really hard time coming up with cons, actually. So we've got a handful more pros to talk to you guys about, and maybe we'll, think of a con as we're going, but we're kind of out of cons. So the rest is just pro.
Right, and especially if you're an avid golfer, I think Roseville is a great area. Not only do you have a few golf courses in Roseville, but the proximity to Rockland, you have 2 more golf courses there.
Yeah,
right?
You've got Catavadera that's out in Lincoln. You've got Whitney Oaks that's in Rockland. I can't think of the other one in Rockland. You're more of a golfer than I am.
Wood Creek?
That's in Roseville.
Oh, never mind. I'm not a big golfer, but I know a lot of big golfers.
Yeah. Yeah, Roseville actually has more golf courses, I would say, than any of the other cities. Although, well, we'll talk about Lincoln another day, but there's quite a few out there because of the retirement community.
Yeah,
so we're going to do a whole segment, maybe like 3 or 4 segments just on 55 plus, because we have a great 55 plus selection of homes in our area. So it's pretty fun for our clients that are downsizing and retiring and want to have a really active lifestyle.
And really in all 3 counties, so it doesn't matter. If you like one of the counties, there's going to be a 55 plus community that you're going to love too.
Yeah. So that's going to be a whole nother segment. So stay tuned for that.
Right. Exactly. So I think with that, I don't know, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh gosh. So I feel like we missed one big thing. That's one of my favorite things when I go to Roseville.
Go ahead.
Downtown Roseville.
There you go.
So they're just like in most of our other cities that have been around for a long time. Like, we just learned that Roseville's been around since the 1800s, and it used to be called Junction. And that's probably why there's a big, long street called Junction.
That makes sense.
Throughout Roseville. It's a very long street. It takes you like from one side of town to the other. And like right almost smack in the center of Roseville is the downtown area. And there's, again, great shopping. There's a super sweet pizza place down there. We'll flash a picture right here so you guys can check it out. I think it's Old Town Pizza, maybe. Yeah, I might be wrong.
I think that's the name.
And then we went to a concert out there a couple times, and just like great live music, great venues, great nightlife, and a really good business scene too.
Right. I think it's the old Opera House in downtown Roseville that does those music events.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I remember we went to one not that long ago, before COVID though.
Definitely before COVID. And it was super fun. We went to the pizza place first, went over and listened to a cover band. I can't remember which cover band it was, but it was a blast. And we got to go with a really great client of ours too. So super fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure that there's way more. If you have a pro or a con about Roseville, please go ahead and share it in the comments below. And again, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for alerts so that you can stay on top of everything about living, working, playing in and around Sacramento.
All right, with that, thank you so much for tuning in, and take care.
Bye-bye.